Kurt Angle is going to be making a decision about his next career move within the next few weeks. Welcome back, everyone. This is Jason. Um, yeah, Kurt Angle has been pretty public about what he wants to do within the last few months. Um, he's made it known that he wants to, looks like he wants to retire in the WWE. Um, in a recent interview, and I'm going to read this so I don't misquote him. He said, he was talking about what he would be labeled, and he said he would not label himself as a TNA guy, which was very shocking. He said, and I quote, "What I would label myself, you always go back to where you started. I don't think you can label Sting as a TNA guy. He's a WCW guy, and even Sting in WWE now will always be remembered as a WCW guy. So I can't say I'm a TNA guy, obviously. WWE is where I started, and Vince McMahon made me who I am and gave me the opportunity. But I've had a better career in TNA. Now, a lot of WWE fans may not believe that, or they may have never seen me wrestle in TNA. But the matches I've had in TNA were actually better than the matches I had in WWE. That's a hard thing to say, but the matches I've had with Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and the different matches with different wrestlers like Sting, Jeff Jarrett, Desmond Wolfe, or Nigel McGuinness, Mr. Anderson, and Bobby Roode, I would say I'm probably more consistent in TNA, although I was always known to have the best matches and be a very consistent wrestler in the WWE. I think it's because the older I got and the more I improved, the more I mastered the craft, the more I was able to let myself do what I do and have more confidence. The reason the second part of my career was better than the first was because of that. That's very interesting how he reflects on both ends of his career, the TNA and the WWE. He's been champion several times in both. I think champion more times in WWE if you count all the different ones, including the WWE, the WCW, and the World Heavyweight Championship. I think that comes out to 6 or 7, I think. Um, and I believe he's a 5-time TNA champ. But nonetheless, he's been a professional wrestler for 8 years in one company, 8 years in the other, 16 total years. It's nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty good. Um, he also goes on. He said in the this is sidetracked from his future career, but one thing I wanted to make note of, he said he wishes he had more matches with Shawn Michaels, and that I believe he said his best opponent or his favorite opponent was Chris Benoit. He said that was kind of a hard thing to say too, just because of the controversy behind his name in general. But that was really interesting to hear that he said that about Chris Benoit. But it's true. If you go back and look at his match with Chris Benoit, man, you want to talk about pure wrestling. It doesn't get any better than that. Love Benoit or hate him, it's true. Strictly speaking, just about talent there. I'm not going to get into any other controversial discussions. But nonetheless, Kurt Angle also said, he was also asked in this recent interview about what his next move is, because his contract ends on September 21st, I think it is. Yeah, Kurt Angle's contract with TNA comes to a close on September 21st. So what's his next move? I quote, he says, "Well, right now I'm not at liberty to say where I'm going, but I will tell you I'm going to do the right thing for me and my family. I'm in the process of structuring a deal, and I do have a company in mind. I haven't said yes because I want to make it a public thing with the company and myself. I can't really say who it is or where I'm going, but I can tell you it's going to happen in the next 2 weeks before my contract is even up. I won't be wrestling until January, but there will be a signing in the next couple of weeks." That's very interesting. That tells so much and yet so little at the same time, if you know what I'm saying. He, talking about coming back in January, well, a big comeback for a few wrestlers in the past in the WWE has been the Royal Rumble. That would be ideal for Kurt Angle. But now I'm going to touch on another article that came out almost a month ago. Came out of Dave Metzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. Said Angle is trying to pitch WWE on a deal that would be similar to the schedule Michaels did in his final years with the company, where he worked big shows and limited dates. As best we can tell, WWE hasn't shown much interest. As noted before in the past, Vince McMahon was extremely negative on the idea of bringing Angle back. Apparently, Angle tried to contact Triple H, and when Triple H blew him off, he went to Vince McMahon, which made Vince McMahon and Triple H very upset, because apparently Vinnie Mac told Angle that Triple H is head of talent relations. How true that is, I don't know. And I say that not because Dave Metzer is not a solid news reporter. I say that because it's not from someone specific like the WWE or Kurt Angle. I have not heard Kurt Angle express that himself. If you have, please let me know the interview and I'll look it up for myself. But I've only heard it from, this person or that person talking about the situation. So I don't know. This interview with Kurt Angle is strictly from him, though. And it's the most recent thing we have. So yeah, you can go back and forth on this. Well, it means this. No, it means that. I still think it's very likely that he's going to end up in the WWE. I don't see why they wouldn't bring him back. If they bring back guys like Lesnar, or they bring back guys like Batista, or Chris Jericho, why not Kurt Angle? I'm not saying they have to bring back every decent wrestler. I'm not saying that. But for someone who still has the talent, as Kurt Angle does, think of the possibilities in the ring with Kurt Angle. Jeez Louise. Who wouldn't want to see Kurt Angle versus Daniel Bryan? Who wouldn't want to see Kurt Angle versus some of the other new talent? Rusev, Jack Swagger, any of those guys who are, known more for wrestling in the ring, like pure wrestlers. Not saying that none of the other guys are able to do that. Even a Roman Reigns versus Kurt Angle. A lot of the newer guys, I'd love to see in the ring with Kurt Angle. He could do so much. He could teach the newer guys, so much in the development. Even if they didn't bring him back for wrestling purposes, what he could teach the guys down at NXT, oh my God. Not just the wrestling side of it, the life of it, because being on the road with WWE does change your life. It's not easy. You have to do media. Obviously not everybody does media, but different guys get picked for different things. I think Kurt Angle, if he was brought back, he'd be doing media. He'd be one of those bigger names. Like, Hogan gets selected for certain things. Sting has been brought out for certain things. And Kurt Angle would be doing it. It could teach this next generation of guys how to properly do that. Kurt Angle's fought some demons too, and on that side he could teach that next generation how not to do things. Kurt Angle's been sober for a year now and could really help set an example. Of how to and how not to do things in the industry, more in a positive light than anything. I really don't see Kurt Angle staying with TNA. I really don't. Said it once, it's said it a lot of times. I think, TNA without a TV deal is a sinking ship. It really is. How much are they going to be able to do if they don't solidify a TV deal soon? They've got till the end of the year, I guess. They're feverishly trying to put something together. What is everyone going to do in TNA without a TV deal? I don't think very much. And they've been getting rid of all the veterans anyways. The good veterans too. The ones you think they keep with the company. They're just not keeping them around. There are other possibilities besides the WWE. I think WWE would be most profitable for Kurt and the wrestling industry as a whole. But if you look at some of the other companies out there, he could sign a contract with New Japan, wrestle AJ Styles for a while. That'd be something. I don't know if he'd do that though. Would he? He'd be spending some time in Japan. He'd be traveling a lot more, I think. I don't think he would ship his whole family over there. I don't think he would do that. But who just signed a contractual deal with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett now is in. He's in with New Japan Pro Wrestling with his Global Force Wrestling, along with several other companies around the world. If Kurt Angle signed with New Japan, he'd be part of that. Or he could just strictly sign with Global Force Wrestling and be one of the top faces of the company to help Jeff Jarrett kick off his brand. That'd be pretty big for Jeff. Me personally, though, I'd want to see him back in the WWE. I really would. That'd be great. A, he'd be a lock-in for the Hall of Fame. He deserves it. B, be guaranteed some kind of big match at WrestleMania. We'd all want to see it on that grand stage. Hell yeah. And 3, God knows WWE would put together some kind of tremendous 3-disc DVD package. We'd all want to see that too. I'm sure. Majority of the fans would. I know I like those. So, that's about it. Kurt Angle's making the decision soon. Now, whether we hear about it soon, I'm not sure. We may not hear about it for several months. TNA is going to be doing a lot of taping over the course of the next couple weeks for their TV, and I'm not sure how much Kurt Angle is going to be involved in that. Right now, he's just been like the GM figure. But yeah, it's really hard to say. You know, he does have options, but whatever it is obviously going to be best for him and his family. So we'll have to wait patiently and see what happens over the course of the next few weeks to the next few months. Can't wait to see what happens with Kurt. He deserves to be on top somewhere. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, guys.